that some students were about to give up. There were still 8 hours until sunrise. 8 more hours of bone-freezing cold and chattering teeth, and the trembling groans of the students were so loud it was hard to hear, and then a voice began to echo through the night. One voice started a song. The song was completely off-key, but sung with great enthusiasm. One voice became two. Two became three, and before long everyone in the group was singing. The trainers threatened us with more time in the mud if we didn't stop singing, but the singing continued, and somehow the mud seemed a little warmer, and the wind a little less strong, and the dawn not so far away. If there's one thing I've learned from traveling the world, it's the power of one person. George Washington, Lincoln, King, Mandela, and also that young girl from Pakistan, Malala. One person can change the world by giving other people hope. So if you want to change the world, start singing. When you're up to your neck in mud at the end of SEAL training, there is a bell, a brass bell, that is placed in the middle of the group so that everyone can hear it. See, all you have to do to quit is ring the bell, ring the bell. And you won't have to get up at 5 a.m. anymore. Ring the bell. And you won't have to swim in the freezing cold. Ring the bell. And you won't have to do the marches, the obstacle courses, and the PT test. And you won't have to endure the rigors of training anymore. All you have to do to get out is ring the bell. If you want to change the world, then never ring the bell. It won't be easy. Start each day with a task completed. Find someone to help you through life. Respect everyone. Know that life isn't always fair, and you'll fail a lot. But if you take some risks, stand up in the toughest of times, leave the bullies behind, and the oppression, and never give up. If you do these things, then the next generations and the generations that follow will live in a world better than is now. What started here will have truly changed the world. Thank you so much. A Greek American, an Italian American, and 2 strong men from the Midwest. They outran all the other big boat crews, and the others always made fun of them for putting little flippers on their small feet before every trip. But somehow, these little people from every corner of the world always had the last laugh. They were always faster and always reached shore far ahead of everyone else. SEAL training was a good equalizer. Nothing mattered except the will to win. Not skin color, ethnic background, or social status. If you want to change the world, value a person by their heart, not by the size of their flippers. A few times a week, the instructors would come in to conduct a uniform inspection. It was quite thorough. The cap had to fit perfectly, the uniform had to fit flawlessly, the belt buckle had to be shine and be spotless. But no matter how much work you put into making the cap fit, the uniform fit, or the buckle polish, it just wasn't good enough. The instructors always found something wrong. For failing the uniform inspection, the student had to go fully dressed into the surf zone. Then, wet from head to toe, they had to roll in the sand until they were completely covered in sand. This was known as a sugar cookie. You were then in your uniform for the rest of the day, wet, cold, and sandy. There were some students who simply couldn't accept that all their efforts were in vain. No matter how hard they tried to get the uniform right, it went unappreciated. These students didn't make it through training. These students didn't understand the point of the drill. You were never successful. You never had a perfect uniform. The instructors would never have allowed it. Sometimes, no matter how well you prepare or what good you do, you still end up as a sugar cookie. That's just how life is sometimes. If you want to change the world, get over it. To be a sugar cookie and keep going. Every day during training, you are faced with many physical tasks. Long marches, long swims, obstacle courses, and hours of gymnastics to test your mettle. Each task had a set time, and if you didn't meet it, your name was written on a list. Those on the list were supposed to go to a circus. A circus was 2 hours of extra gymnastics designed to make you give up. Nobody wanted the circus. A circus meant that the day wasn't over. A circus meant increasing fatigue. This meant that the following days would be even harder, and you had to go to the circus again. But at a certain point in training, everyone was on the circus list at some point. But something interesting happened to those who were always on the list. Over time, those who did 2 extra hours of gymnastics became stronger and stronger. The pain of the circuses built inner strength and physical resilience. Life is filled with circuses. You will fail. You'll probably fail often, and it's not good. Sometimes it will discourage you. It will test you to your core. But if you want to change the world, and be afraid of the circus. At least twice a week, students should do the obstacle course. The obstacle course consisted of 25 obstacles, a 10-foot-high wall, a 30-foot cargo net, and barbed wire to crawl under, to name a few obstacles, but the most difficult was a monkey bar. It had a 3-story tower on one side and a 1-story one on the other. In between hung a 200-foot-long rope. You had to climb to the top of the tower and grab the rope there. Swing under the rope and pull yourself, hand over hand, to the end. The record for the obstacle course had stood since 1977, when my class started, and seemed unbeatable. Until one day, a student decided to go down the monkey bar, head first. Instead of shimmying under the rope, he bravely lay down on the rope and pulled themselves forward. It was very dangerous, apparently foolish and disregarding the danger. One mistake could lead to an accident, and you would be thrown from the parkour without hesitation. The student slid down the rope dangerously fast. Instead of several minutes, it only took half the time. And by the end of the parkour, he had broken the record. If you want to change the world, sometimes you have to slide down the obstacles head first. During the land warfare phase of training, the students were taken to San Clemente, an island off San Diego. The waters of San Clemente are a breeding ground for great white sharks. To finish the training, there are a series of long swims that must be completed. One is at night. Before the swim begins, the instructors educate the students on every type of shark that exists in the waters of San Clemente. They assure you that no student has ever been eaten by the sharks. At least, not that you can remember. But you are also taught that if a shark starts moving around you, you don't from the spot, do and swim away. Do and act fearfully. And if a shark comes to you looking for a midnight snack, summon all your strength and step on its snout, and it will swim away. There are a lot of sharks in the world. If you want to finish the swim, you have to live with them. So if you want to change the world, do and be afraid. As Navy SEALs, one of our jobs is to carry out underwater attacks against our enemies. We practice this technique extensively during training. In the ship attack, a few divers are dropped outside an enemy harbor, who then have to swim over 2 miles underwater, using nothing but a gauge and a compass to determine their direction throughout the swim. Even a little further below the surface, there is some light coming through. It's good to know that open water is above you, but as you approach the ship, the light suddenly starts to disappear. The steel structure of the ship blocks the moonlight. It blocks the light from nearby lanterns. It blocks any ambient light. To succeed in your mission, you must find beneath the ship and the keel, the centerline, and the deepest part of the ship. That is your goal, but the keel is also the darkest part of the hole, where you can't see your hand in front of your face, where the noise of the engines is deafening, and where you can easily lose your bearings and fail. Every SEAL knows that beneath the keel, at the darkest point of the mission, is a time when you must be calm, where you must be skilled and calm, where your tactical skills, your physical power, and your inner strength must be brought to light. If you want to change the world, you must give your best in the darkest moments. The 9th week is known as Hell Week. These are 6 days without sleep, constant physical and mental strain, and on one special day, in the Wadden Sea. The Wadden Sea is an area between San Diego and Tijuana, where the water disappears and creates the Tijuana slots. A swampy area where the mud wraps around you. It's Wednesday of Hell Week, where you paddle out into the Wadden Sea and spend the next 15 hours trying to survive this cold, howling wind and increasing pressure from the coaches to stop as the sun started to set on Wednesday evening. My training group, who had committed some serious rule violations, were called out into the mud. The mud enveloped everyone until nothing but their heads was visible. The trainers told us that if just 5 people gave up, we could go. Just 5 minutes, just 5 men, and we could get out of this oppressively cold. What starts here changes the world. I have a few suggestions that might help you on your way to a better world, and even though I learned this advice during my time in the military, I can assure you that it doesn't matter if you've ever served a day in uniform. It doesn't matter what gender, faith, background, or social status you are. Our difficulties in this world are similar, and the tools to overcome these difficulties and move forward will change ourselves and the world around us, and will bring equality to us all. So here are 10 tips I learned during training that I hope you will appreciate as you move forward in life. Every morning during training, my trainers, who were all Vietnam veterans at the time, came into my barracks room. And the first thing they did was check if you had made your bed correctly. The corners had to be square, the blankets had to be pulled straight, the pillows had to be placed under the headboard, and the extra blanket had to be folded under the porch. It was a simple task, a mundane chore at best, but every morning we were expected to make our bed perfectly. It seemed a bit ridiculous at the time, since we wanted to become real warriors, but the wisdom of this small task has often proven itself to me. If you make your bed every morning, you have mastered the first task of your day. It will give you a bit of pride and encourage you to do another chore and another and another, and at the end of the day, that one chore completed will have led to many more being completed. Making your bed will also remind you that it's the little things in life that matter. If you can't get the little things right, you can't get the big things right. And if you've had a bad day, you'll come home, and the bed will be made that you've made, and a made bed will encourage you that tomorrow will be better. So if you want to change the world, start making your bed. Musical notes. Musical notes. During SEAL training, During training, the students were all divided into boat crews. Each crew consisted of 7 students, 3 on each side of a small rowboat, and 1 to help navigate the boat each day. Your group would meet on the beach and paddle through the surf zone, and then several miles down the coast. In the winter, the San Diego surf can get 8 to 10 feet high, and it's pretty difficult. The paddles will go through the surf. If everyone doesn't join in, each paddle has to be in sync. Everyone has to put in the same effort, or the boat will run into the waves and be unceremoniously thrown back onto the beach. In order for the boat to reach its destination, everyone has to paddle. You can't change the world alone. You need help. And to really get from where you are to where you want to go, you need friends and colleagues, the goodwill of strangers, and a strong comrade. If you want to change the world, find someone to paddle with. After a few weeks of difficult training, my SEAL group that started with 150 men was down to 42. There were now 6 boat crews of 7 men each. I was in the boat with the big people, but the best boat crew we had was made up of the little people.